So I finally got around to watching Superman 2025, and I definitely had my thoughts about it. And I thought, what would be a better way to talk about it than to just compare it to the 1978 version? So without further ado, let's start comparing. Starting with the story. Superman 1978 follows the origin story of Superman as he comes to Earth and is adopted by the Kents. But after his adopted father dies, he goes searching for his true identity and becomes Superman. And we follow him as he becomes this great hero and starts his job at the Daily Planet, meeting Lois Lane and the other members of the Daily Planet. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor decides to nuke parts of the United States so that he can build his own real estate and make billions off of it. But when Superman goes to try to stop him, Lex Luthor captures him with kryptonite, and with the help of Lex's assistant, he has to escape, but not enough time to save both of the missiles from hitting their targets. And so one of the missiles hits Los Angeles, slowly starting to crumble the nearby area. And in the chaos, Lois gets trapped into the rubble in her car and dies before Superman can save her. So Superman has to turn back time to save her. Meanwhile, Superman 2025 follows Clark Kent as he's 2 years being into Superman, already somewhat established, but still trying to fully get his feet under him. But when Lex Luthor managed to break into the Fortress of Solitude and steal a message from Kal-El's parents and reveal it to the world that Superman was sent here to conquer, everyone turns against Superman, and Superman decides to turn himself into Lex to protect this world. But Lex has different plans. He uses a metahuman can turn into kryptonite that keeps Superman trapped while he goes and tries to restart up a war that Superman had stopped. But Superman manages to escape, and with the help of his friends, the Justice Society, he's able to stop Lex's plans, and Lex gets put in prison, and Superman wins the day. The big problem we run into here is one is an origin story, and one is a half origin story, where it's like, it just cuts past all the origin part of the story, but instead of doing it in a way that makes it work, instead they do it so they have to have the first half hour as just as you know moments over and over again. The robots are telling him what his own parents' message is. You have it so it explains to you that Lex has been hating on Superman for years. You also have it so that one of the big conflicts of the whole story is of two countries at war that Superman stops, but you only hear about it in an interview of him talking about it, and that's it. It's a crucial part of the story that you don't even see. It's just constantly as you know moments over and over again. And it's like, it felt so much like it needed to be the second movie or something based on the way it was acting. It was like, okay, yeah, there's so much stuff you were important that you're just saying, so we need to get through this. So as you know, and it really takes you out of the movie. At the beginning, like the opening scene is just 3 centuries ago, metahumans appeared on Earth. 3 decades ago, Superman arrived. Now, Superman has been a superhero for 2 years. This one just like, so we don't have the time to explain this, so we'll just throw it out there. And you're gonna find a way to like it because I'm too lazy to actually show anything. It's this whole opening especially is just a lot of telling and not showing. It's not, you can tell stuff too, but there is a reason why people say, show, don't tell. This whole opening is just constant. As you know, I'm pretty sure that they flat out say a couple times, as you know, this. Felt so much like they had spent the first part of the movie just dedicated to trying to catch you up on things. Because for some reason, everyone's obsessed with it right now, this idea that no one wants origin stories. I'm sorry, what? Superman's origin story is important to this character. While with the 1978 version, where it allows you to have an origin story. Yes, it's like the very first superhero movie we ever got. It's really what started this whole move towards having superhero movies. But in the same way, people still watch that nowadays, and for the most part, people don't really say, can you move past the origin story? They like the origin story of Superman. The 2025 Superman, it doesn't feel like it's moving past it in a good way. It feels like it's stuck with, we have to explain this stuff still, but they're also trying to play this, it's not an origin story. So it's like, suddenly you have all these characters thrown in there, you have suddenly these plot points that are halfway through, where like, very important storyline of this movie is dealing with the fact that Superman previously had took down a dictator, and because of that, now this country's mad at him and all. Government people are starting to feel like Superman is a threat because he's getting into politics and all. But the problem is, they don't show that. They just tell you that that's happening, and then they just throw you in the middle of it. It's one of the biggest, as you know, moments where it's just like him having to explain all this stuff. I'm like, you could have just shown it. Most of, as you know, moments are kind of small, where it's like, okay, yeah, I can move past it. But that one is like, this is a crucial part of the story that they just don't show at all. You're just thrown into the middle of it, and you're supposed to be like, oh yeah, that's perfectly fine. Along with that, you have it so the opening scene so Superman hurt. While it's okay to sometimes start your movie with your hero hurt, with someone like Superman, which the whole point of him is he's an unstoppable hero. And so having the beginning of the movie showing him already defeated kind of destroys the whole point of the character. You want to have it so a little bit into the story, that's when he meets someone who can beat him. In the original Superman, and even in Man of Steel, you begin with seeing him just being able to be unstoppable, and so when later on you see him defeated by Kryptonite or by Zod, it makes more of an impact than just beginning the story with already he's defeated. So long story short, the point definitely goes to the 1978 version. On to our Supermans. Christopher Reeve's Superman is iconic. His costume, everything about him. I don't think he has the best costume, but when people think of Superman, they think of Christopher Reeve. And he plays that charming Superman. I don't know why it's such a big thing nowadays, but why can't comic book characters just be their comic book characters? Like, Iron Man was able to just be Iron Man. Captain America was able to just be Captain America. Thor was once able to just be Thor. Now, like, they had Thor Ragnarok, where they just suddenly say, no, he has to be this quippy Joker type character. He can't just be Thor. Why is it nowadays that people can't just have superheroes be their superhero characters? If you look at this 1978 Superman with Christopher Reeve is able to just be the charming, all-American Superman. That's who he is. Nowadays, they're like, no, we have to make him mopey. We have to make him constantly screaming. We have to make him not Superman. He has a couple moments where you're like, okay, yeah, there's that Superman charm to him. You can tell David Cornsweet is a good Superman, just like you could tell that Henry Cavill was a good Superman off screen, but how he's written in the story does not work for Superman. He has a couple moments where you're like, okay, that is Superman, but then it immediately goes to like, okay, no, we have to make him mopey, we have to do this, we have to do that, and they can't just keep him as Superman. Like, so one Superman just stands out as this all-American superhero. He smiles, he's a charmer, while Cornsweet's Superman has his moments where you're like, okay, yeah, this is Superman. And I think that they were trying to go for Superman, but then the story kept him down. It kept him from becoming Superman. So the point goes to 1978. The next one is our side characters. I'm going to be honest, outside of the Kents and Lois Lane, the side characters in the 1978 version are kind of forgettable. There's nothing really intriguing about them. Lois is definitely Lois. And the Kents are one of the best portrayals of the Kents. I personally think the best portrayal of the Kents are definitely Smallville, but these were what the Kents were like in the comics, and they do a great job with the Kents. Versus in the 2025, Lois Lane is well done. She's just like in the original. The actress does a great job playing Lois Lane. It's definitely, I want to see more of this Lois Lane because she is definitely a good Lois Lane. Most of the other side characters I enjoy too. There were a couple of people at the Daily Planet that I didn't like as much, but like Lois was great. Jimmy Olsen was different than what Jimmy Olsen's supposed to be, but he was great. The Chief, you didn't get to see much of him, but he was great. The other superheroes were great. It has great side characters outside of the Kents. The Kents, I don't know why they were obsessed with this, but they really wanted to make the Kents stupid. I think they were trying to go for just making them stubborn, but it just comes off like they're really stupid. There's no redeeming qualities. When Superman goes and hangs out with them close to the end of the movie, it just, outside of that one moment with Clark Kent just giving him a little bit of wisdom, they come off like they are just dumb as rocks. Kind of have this idea of why would Superman ever want to hang out with them? But with the other Kents, there's this feeling of, oh, I see why he would want to hang out with the Kents, why he would like the Kents. Like, they're a nice old couple. With this one, they're not. They're not mean people, but they're just the type of people that you're like, I could see why you would just leave home and not want to come back, because they are annoyingly stupid. And it's like, why did they do that to the Kents? So honestly, I'm actually going to give this point to the 2025. Honestly, they did have great characters outside of the Kents. So there you go. They got a point. The next one is our villains. Both of them, the main villain is Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor for the 1978 one, he wants to blow up some lands so he can sell this rich real estate. And while he's not a bad villain, he's definitely not the strongest part of the movie. He's kind of just there. He's Lex Luthor. There's nothing much I can say. He's just a version of Lex Luthor. There's nothing that stands out about him. Versus in the 2025 version, Lex Luthor in this movie is the best part of the whole movie. He's definitely not perfect, and I get where people are coming from, where he's not the most accurate Lex to the comics and all, but he was a fun Lex that you could understand where he was coming from. He is full of himself, and so this idea that Superman is getting all the praise he hates, and so he's going after Superman for this reason, it makes sense. He's acted well. I'm biased towards the fact that Nicholas Hoult, in my opinion, one of the best actors just because he played Tolkien. Just for that reason, I love that actor. So I'm biased because of that. But the point is, he does a great job playing this version of Lex, and Lex is definitely the best Bond. So with a 10 times better motivation, so I'm going to have to give this point also to the new one. Now we go on to the music. The music in the original is iconic. Everyone knows the Superman theme. Even now, they still use the Superman theme from that version in most other Superman movies because it's just, everyone knows that theme of Superman. It's the Superman theme now. And so, yeah, the music, not all of it stands out to me as great, but the iconic theme, and there's a couple other points of music that's just like, okay, this is great. Versus in the remake, I watched the movie no more than 2 days ago, and I already forgot every song from it, basically. The music is bland. Some of them is just, pop songs, and you're like, okay, if I knew these pop songs more, I probably would remember them more, but it's like, the pop songs were not my style, and so I completely forgot about them almost immediately. The music in the new remake is just forgettable, to be honest. There's nothing about, I don't remember anything about the remake's music 2 days later, so the point goes to the original. Now onto the action. The 1978 one is old when it comes to the action, but the action still stands up. The flight scenes, everything about the original, even if it's clunky sometimes, stands up today, and it's still some great action for the most part. It's not the greatest action, but it still has some pretty solid action scenes. Versus Superman 2025, where honestly the action outside of Lex is probably the best part. It's not like it's incredible action, but I had a lot of fun. Once you got over the 30-minute mark where it was just, as you know, moments, this movie is actually kind of fun. There's some great action scenes, some great visuals and all. Like, it's a pretty fun movie with some great action scenes. The scenes of him trying to keep that baby from falling into the pool of antimatter. The scenes with him fighting these different monsters. They're kind of fun to watch. It's not like the best action I've seen, but when it comes to action scenes, they're pretty enjoyable. So honestly, I'm going to give this also to the remake. It's tied for points. If I had to say which one's better, I would probably say the original. The original one is better, but I enjoyed watching this remake. It was fun outside of, like, once it got over having to catch up, it became a fun movie to watch. The problem it runs into is this has a great concept going for it, but then it struggles with the fact that it's also a movie made in 2025. And so it can't just have an origin story. It can't just have the Kents being kind people. It has to try all this different stuff. And it's like, if it had just allowed itself to be a Superman-only movie, because while I do like some of these side characters, it had too much with just building up other storylines instead of dealing with Superman. James Gunn, he's a big fan of this small anti-hero, the cast-out characters. And so having him in charge of DC itself ever since he took over, he's constantly trying to put down Superman, Batman, all the main characters, just so he can build up the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, Creatures Commandos, all these different characters that no one cares about because that's who he cares about, and he doesn't actually want to talk about Superman and Batman and people like that. If it was dealing with just Superman, and it had taken the time to be like, even if you didn't want to do it fully, you don't see Superman until halfway through type thing. Like, yeah, I get it. That's a complaint people have about the original. If you want to do it so you open in the same point, but then you have flashbacks to him as a baby, all that's like, that would have worked. But instead, they spent the whole movie just trying to catch you up on things because they were too scared that they would lose their audience if they just showed you Superman coming to Earth. They just showed you these scenes. So what do they do instead? They just have it so these robots tell Superman what his parents' message says. They have all this different stuff that just makes no sense. Because of it, it falls. So yes, I do like this movie, but the original is definitely better. Tell me your thoughts below. This has been the Movie Night Reviewer. Till next time, Peter Wary, signing off.